Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo. As we begin our meeting today, I'd like to thank and acknowledge our monthly sponsor, the Area Office on Aging, and Rotarian Justin Moore. Justin, are you here today? No? No Justin. All right. Thank you, Justin. Before we get started today, I just want to do a quick reminder for our check-ins. Membership had a great meeting last week, a couple weeks ago, talking about all the points that they're going to assess for the engagement opportunities here. So as we're doing check-ins, each meeting, each committee meeting you go to, and there's going to be points, greater numbers of points, right, for service projects, bowling, book club, like things that you do, and the attendance you have outside of these Monday meetings. So please check in when you have the opportunity. Just use your phone, hit that. It also actually, mine every week kind of stores into my web pages, right? So I don't even have to re-click it every time. So check in each time you guys are doing something. We appreciate it. At this time, I'd like to ask Carol Subcheck to come to the podium to deliver a reflection and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Sure sign you're getting old, you need help up the stairs. What a beautiful day, yeah? Great day to be alive. A few weeks ago, I reflected on how each day is a gift. I was reminded of that over the weekend as I lost two members of my family, one naturally and one tragically. If each day is a gift, how much more is a whole life? But we don't know how long we have, how long our lives will last. The best we can do is to run the race well, appreciate every step in the journey, savor each adventure, and even learn from our misadventures. Our life is what we make it. Let us live it well within ourselves and, of course, with others. Amen. Now please join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Carol, and sorry for your loss from this weekend. Does anyone have any guests they'd like to introduce today? Please come forward. Zach is right here in the middle of the room, so you can introduce your guests. Let us know where they're from.
President Scott, fellow Rotarians and guests, I would like to introduce the new executive director, or first executive director of Toledo Lead Poisoning Prevention Resource Center, which is a new organization, and this is their executive director, Candace Buckley.
Great. Thank you. Welcome, Candace.
Hey, good morning, Mr. President, Rotary family. Today I have with me Daisy White. She is one of my agents at Pascal Real Estate.
Great. Welcome. Welcome, Daisy.
Good afternoon, President. I'm the pleasure of having Josh Coven with me, he owns a business called As We Scale. It's a digital social media marketing. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Welcome, Josh. Appreciate it.
Fellow Rotarians, I have Leslie Harold here as my guest today, and she has her own company, own firm. Is it LH Group? LH Group. Please welcome her today. Thank you so much.
Leslie. Yeah.
Thank you. And I have Sonia Shire today with the Barnes Group as my guest, and she's going to introduce a guest she brought as another guest.
The guest with the guest. Way to go.
Look at that. I'm
go.
just saying, we're killing it over here.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce Keyshandra Harris. Also, both of us are with Barnes Group, so
Great.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Welcome.
See you.
President and fellow Rotarians, I'm Pat Bowe, and I brought my lovely wife, Mary Louise, as my guest today, and she's the chair of the United Way.
Excellent. Thank you, Pat. Welcome, Mary Louise. Okay, perfect. Appreciate it. Thank you, guests. Thank you for joining us today. I wanted to take a moment today, too, to thank and recognize this year's committee leaders. Their leadership efforts so far has been fantastic. Our committees are off and running. They're active. Please reach out to any one of these individuals. You can see them on the slide here and get involved in what they're doing on behalf of the club. It was last week that one of the foundation trustees actually reached out to me and talked about how he saw this in the Spoke and noticed one thing very significant about it, which is the number of women leaders that we have currently in the club. You know, years ago, as this foundation trustee pointed out to me, years ago, we talked about making sure that we rose the ranks of females in the club. I know when I joined the club, it was like a little under 30% female when I joined the club. So I think to see where we're going with female leadership in the club and female members, I think it's something to be celebrated, as this trustee pointed out to us too. So thank you very much, all our leaders. We appreciate your time. All right, let's get to today's program. Brent, if you would mind coming up and joining me on the stage here. Brent Bain is the assistant coach of the Toledo Walleye. He's a native Toledoan and a former Northview High School ice hockey team player. Brent began his career with the Walleye in 2017. Brent served as the assistant video coach for the Walleye from 2017 through 2021, then started serving as the sole assistant coach during the 22-23 season and to the present. So previously, Brent served as the varsity assistant coach for St. John's Jesuit High School from 2015 through 2017. So please welcome Brent Bain.
Thanks for having me here today. I think the last time I was at one of these was when I was probably 15 or 16. The Toledo Rotary, our hockey team, Toledo Northview, they lost in the state championship to Parma Padua. And they had us out for a nice meal, and they gave us a couple certificates of just thanking us for our team support. So it's cool to be back here again at one of these events. Scott kind of mentioned, I'm born and raised in Toledo. Started playing hockey when I was about 4 years old at the old sports arena there. So to be where I am today in my position, in my role, is very special. I'm very prideful in who I am and where I come from. And to be a part of the organization like the Toledo Walleye is something I take very serious, and I'm proud of that. So just getting into where we're at today, I'll talk. What I want you guys to get out of this, it's kind of, I didn't really know what to expect going into it, but I want to kind of give you a glimpse of how we operate in Toledo with our team, with our players, how we manage them day to day, what we look for in our culture, recruiting, team building, the type of people we want on our roster. And then we'll go from there, kind of just some of the day-to-day processes we have. All right, culture. It's a big thing for us. It's a big buzzword nowadays. There's probably 1,000 books, 1,000 podcasts about that word culture. And to me, I don't really think there's a definition behind it. People want to put a definition on what culture looks like. To me, it's something you know, it's something you live and you feel. It's not, we put a saying on the wall, that's what we are. It's how we treat each other. It's how we hold each other accountable. It's how we strive to make the person next to you the best version it can be. And so for us, we're very fortunate. We have a good group of guys in our locker room, and they're good people before they are good hockey players. So that kind of sets the stage for where we're at. Ultimately we want to be a team, but it starts where we're 20 individuals. We got to become a team. So we're fortunate enough where we have a good group of guys that can pull each other in and really pull the best out of each other. And I think that starts at the top. We have a great support staff in our front office. They support the coaching staff extremely well, and it just trickles all the way down through our organization where, at the end of the day, we want our players to feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves. A lot of guys come to a hockey team and they think, I'm just a hockey player on this hockey team. When guys come to Toledo, it really is a special place where guys, they come in, they don't really, new guys, they hear great things about the organization, how they're going to be treated. but they get here and they fall in love with it. They recognize I'm bigger than something than just being a hockey player on a hockey team. I'm a part of the Toledo Walleye organization. And ultimately, that's what I think drives our success, is that mentality. Guys are always willing to put themselves behind, ultimately, the team and organization success. I think people who've been around good culture, they feel it. They know what it looks like because they feel it, but they might not be able to put it into words, ultimately. So I think that is the biggest thing for us, is that's why our success carries on. And, if we're losing, if people say, well, there's something wrong with the culture. But at the end of the day, if you're winning culture, everyone says your culture's in a good place. But I truly believe it's about the people and those relationships and getting the best out of them, where they feel they have a voice, where they're striving to be better and or something that's bigger than themselves. So that's kind of just how we approach it. That's how my definition of it is. Like I said, there is no real definition. It's something you feel, it's something you know you're a part of. So just a little bit into our like the last thing I want to talk about with our culture. So it's a special thing, just one story I want to tell. Every year at the end of the year, it's probably the hardest part of our job, is we'll have guys that'll start on the team in October, and they will play every game in the regular season, but our roster limit doesn't allow the same amount of players as regular season roster has to be shortened to a playoff roster. So every year there's going to be guys that have played maybe 72 games for us. They're going to get cut at the end of the year. They're not going to be on the playoff roster. It's a very difficult thing to handle. It's a very difficult thing to manage. But we try to take care of those guys. They've been a part of it the whole way. It's hard to just, thanks for all you've done. We encourage them to stay a part of the team. Like, they are a part of what we are. We don't want to just throw you out to the wayside. Once they're cut, their pay stops. So if we can encourage them and say, hey, just stay with the team. We want you to be a part of this. You're not going to play a game, but you're a big part of what our locker room is, how we operate. You're a big part of that. So we go on these long playoff runs, right? But these guys know they're not going to play a game, but they'll practice. They'll be at every team meal. They're essentially still on the team, but they cannot play in a game. So those playoffs runs, they're special. It's a roller coaster ride. But those guys play such an important role in there, just keeping the guys level-headed. We won the third round this year against Kansas City, and we had 6 guys that were in that type of situation, and those guys were unbelievable for our group. They did whatever the players needed from a practice standpoint. They were a good sounding board for the players in the room when times were tough or times were good, but they were ultimate teammates, and they had no opportunity to play in a game, and they knew it. So I think that's just a testament of their character. But the story is, we win round 3, and we give every game we win, we give out a player of the game award from the coaches. It's a lunch pail. It's kind of just who demonstrates a blue collar mentality and helps the team win that night. And we awarded it to all 6 of those players, and our room went bananas. The players that played in the game erupted, celebrating, cheering, hugging you guys, just letting them know, like, hey, this sucks for you guys. You guys can't play in the game. We know how bad you want to play, but you're still a big part of what we do. Fast forward to we lose in the finals. First player I see getting off the ice, he did play about 72 games for us, wasn't on the playoff roster. He's completely crushed in the hallway, crying of how devastated he is. I think that just goes to show you, what we have in that room and what makes it so special, why we have that success is because the culture we have within those guys, but it's them being themselves and supporting each other every day. But that's kind of just my thoughts on it there. Going into the team construction side of it for us, I don't, like I said, I didn't know what to expect getting into this, so I just want to give you a couple of perspectives on how we operate and how we build our team. It's a shared project with the coaching staff. What do we need to have more of last year? What were we lacking? Who's gone? What are some of the roles that we needed to fill? Who's on the roster coming back that maybe isn't going to be as big of a role they were in last year? Maybe they're going to be pushed down the lineup, whether it's age or they've had a drop off in their play. So it's a constant thing we're working on. Honestly, it starts the day the season ends. There's real no break in the season for us. So it's knowing what we need in that room, and then just going through and recruiting. A lot of negotiations with agents, where trying to find a right price for a guy. We actually have an internal cap. The most we'll play a guy. So it's kind of fighting those battles within the league, but trying to find the right pieces and ultimately the right people to come into that room. And it's a full team effort where, we're on the phone. Me and the head coach are probably on the phone 10 times a day with each other. Some days just going through, all right, just having a conversation with this agent. This is where they're at with money. So you're always constantly in those situations where you're trying to find the right pieces, and you're recruiting ultimately the rest of the ECHL, but also American League teams are offering these guys contracts to sign as well. So there's a lot of variables that come into play, but ultimately we have a good setup in Toledo where it does at times become, once Toledo calls, players get excited to hear that call because A, the organization treats them so well, B, the fan base, and then C, ultimately the success we've had. They want to be a part of that. It's a special place to play and they know it. But yeah, that's kind of just how we go through the summer constructing that team. It's a full day's work every day, just trying to find the right pieces. Like I said, the summers, there is some downtime in the summer. That's where I do a lot of my individual growth type of stuff. I'm going to try to find I run the power play. If I'm going to look at a couple different things on the power play, I'll watch the top 5 teams in the NHL, top 5 teams in the American League, top 5 teams in college. Just really break them down, do a little self-development from that standpoint. So those are just kind of the things that we kind of run through in the summer, getting our team ready, making sure we're personally ready to coach them, prepare them, and ultimately have the right group of guys that can give us another chance to win a championship. So after recruiting, obviously we start the season. We usually start the first Sunday in October, so it's coming up quick for us. Let me get, if I get to the next slide here. There we go. All right, so a lot of turnover every year. Every year it seems like we're bringing in 14 to 15 new faces in that room. Luckily, though, like I've said just here a little bit ago, we've had a ton of success with the core leadership we've had, who've kind of set the way we operate. The expectations are there. They get those new teammates acclimated to what we expect out of you every day. We expect the best out of all of our guys all the time. So it's just we have a great leadership core that helps us get to where we need to be. But the biggest thing, we always have a team meeting. We'll have a dinner. We'll probably be in here. We do it the first Sunday in October. We have a dinner in here with the new players. And we'll talk about, here's what camp's going to be like. Here's your expectations. It is the only time during the whole year we will mention the World Championship. It'll be a quick little verb, this is a team we believe can win a championship. And we won't mention that word again the rest of the year. We focus on day-to-day progress with our guys, one day at a time here, focus on what's in front of us and what's not way in front of us, practice, all that type of stuff. But what we do is we challenge them to become a team. We have to become a team. Right now there's 25 individuals in this room. We have to become one. So it's taking the guys you don't know, let's go out to dinner tonight, have them cook out at the team apartments. We're very fortunate where it seems to be every year our schedule, we start on the road. Last year we had a 10-game road trip to start the season. So that forces the guys to hang out. And, they're only at the rink for 4 hours a day, and then they're on their own. So they need to spend a lot of time together, because if I trust you, the guy next to me, if I know you have a wife and kid, or yet your mother, whatever going on with your mom, at the end of the day, they're people. They're people before they're hockey players. So the biggest thing is getting them acclimated with each other, getting them to really build those relationships, getting them to know, what their teammates have going on in their life, because we spend a lot of time together every day at the rink, road trips, buses, 25 guys on one bus, not too much room to hide. So it's just things like that. We want to become a team as quick as possible, because that goes into our culture piece again, where once we get to that point, now we can start worrying about the systems we want to play, all that type of stuff. We're going to talk about that day one, but that's all stuff. Everyone runs the same things. It's the best teams at the end of the day. they have each other's back. There's no selfish mentalities involved with it. It's, we're all working for the same thing here, so that's becoming that team right away. That's the biggest thing we challenge them with in training camp, is getting to that point where we're a team here now. We know where we're at. Just day to day, it is a lot of hours. We don't just show up at the rink and take the ice and run our way. Day-to-day practice week, usually we'll review the week as a staff, the weekend games. We have already gone through all the video as a group, and individually the coaches have already reviewed everything, so it's kind of like, all right, what do we need to get to? What do we need to work at this week? Maybe our forecheck wasn't great, whatever it may be. So that's kind of how we'll design our practice week. And we do have an analytic company that can tell us the output of the guys' workload on their bodies, so that helps us manage our practice length. So typically a practice is about 30, 35 minutes, 45 at the most. And it's all built around what we have coming that weekend. If we have 3 games, it's going to be a short week of practice. If we have 1 game, it's going to be a harder week of practice. Maybe we'll mix in a day off in the middle of the week too, so we can run them harder twice that week instead of pushing it back to back. It's just all managing their bodies, managing their workload, and then trying to find what we need most effectively out of those practice weeks, what we need to get to, what we need to be better at as a group. So it's a lot of that. It's a lot of one-on-one skill development on the ice with the players. And then it's a lot of video work with the players. There's going to be some older guys that, hey, I don't need to see video. Like I've been in the league for 12 years now. But then you have the young rookie who's still chasing it. They can't get enough. It's like, all right, we'll do video. It's going to be very similar to what we talked about 3 days ago, but we'll do it again. So it's just all managing those personalities. And yeah, going into those situations with those individual meetings with the players, I think it's important for the coaches that we build a relationship with those guys. I want to know about your girlfriend, your dog, your golf game last week. Those are the biggest things, like building those relationships, because we have a lot of hard conversations at times. There's 20 guys in there. They do have selfish intentions at times. They want more. But at the end of the day, we have to make decisions that are based for the best thing for the group. And I know that they're not going to agree with it. They're not going to be happy with it. But ultimately, they have to respect it. So those conversations can get heated. They can be confrontational. But at the end of the day, if I have a good relationship with you, and I have the best intentions at heart, you're going to respect it. You're ultimately going to be like, yeah, I don't agree, but I can handle it. So it's just having those conversations usually are easier when you have that relationship built in. It's smooth. There's a trust factor there. It's not, well, this guy doesn't get me, blah, blah, blah. There's some built-up equity there that makes those conversations easier. But yeah, going into practice week, stuff like that, we'll do a lot of pre-scout on the upcoming games. Usually we watch 2 or 3 games on an opponent if we haven't seen them. If it's Fort Wayne that we play 73 times a year, it seems like, it'll be less prep work on that standpoint. But usually it's a lot of video work for the coaching staff, making sure we have the players prepared. We expect the best out of them. We want to give them the best chance to have success as well. And then just a game day, what a game day looks like. I usually get there around 7:30 or 8. We'll have our team meeting. We'll go through it as a coaching staff. Here's the 10 to 15 clips we're going to talk through video with the players. We'll get into the player meeting. We'll have a video meeting with all the players. Here's what we can expect tonight from the other team. Here's how we want to play to beat that. And then we'll have our morning skate, which is about 15 to 20 minutes. It's quick. It's basically to get the goalies a couple touches against pucks and get the players what they want, and go get off the ice, go home, get some rest, be ready for the game tonight. And then as a staff, we'll talk about what the roster looks like that day and what it looks like going for the rest of the weekend. And then we'll start talking about what we have. If it's a Friday night game, all right, we'll talk about Saturday night's opponent, Sunday night opponent. Just start prepping that a little bit, and then there's some downtime. And then the players will start trickling back into the rink probably around 3:34. We'll have individual meetings with our special teams. So I run the power play. That meeting's at 5:35. Penalty kill meetings at 5:40. Team review meetings, basically just a couple bullet points of what we want to play. Like again, is at 5:45. And you see there, those meetings are short. So we probably meet with the players 4 times a week as a whole. And those meetings, we want them to be under 10 minutes. Because once it's past 10 minutes, like I've been up here, I probably lost some of you. So power play meeting might be 3 minutes. Here's what we want to do. Here's what we want to get accomplished. Boom, boom, boom. Any questions? We're all on the same page. All right, let's go get them, boys. So that's kind of what a day-to-day looks like. So we'll have those individual meetings, power play, PK, team meeting, and then we'll take the ice for the game that night. So it is a long day. You know, I said I get there around 7:30 or 8. I might have a couple hours in the middle of the day where I can go home or get a workout in, but I usually don't get home until about midnight after we watch the game. We'll play the game, you watch the game right back. So the next morning, players come in, we'll have clips from that game ready to go, ready to talk through what we did good, what we need to work on there. So that's kind of just a review in the day-to-day process. Last thing I want to talk about here is just last season. The journey it was. So for me personally, it was extremely difficult year coaching-wise, just mental toll. I felt like it was a long season for us. I think we probably typically have around 30 hotel nights. Last year we had to be easily over 50, closer to 60. So you saw the picture I had up there with my wife and 3 boys. Callan, who's 8, will be 8 on Wednesday. Brooks, who's 5, and then Crew, who's 3. So it was a lot of time away from them. It was definitely harder on my wife than it was me at times. But yeah, it was so that made it a little bit harder, I think, for me from that standpoint. But going into the year, I knew we had a good team. We had a good team on paper. Going into every season, when are we going to become a team? When are we going to gel? When are we going to be who we want to ultimately be, giving ourselves a chance to have success and ultimately play for a championship? And it just felt like there was times where it felt like we were going backwards as a group, whether it was on the ice or off the ice with distractions that are focused on growing and growing as a group. We would have fallbacks, whatever it may be. So it just felt like a long season. And I've been with the organization this will be my 9th year coming up. And 5 of those years, we've been to the conference finals. 3 of those years, we've been to the finals. So we've had a lot of success. And as a coach, you're always measuring, where are we at? What's this team look like? What can we really accomplish here? And last year's team, I didn't think stacked up to some of those other teams that had a lot of success. I just thought, I don't know if we have the right group of guys in this room right now. They're going to put themselves behind what we ultimately want to get to. So you go through that whole process in your head nonstop as a coach. First round of playoffs, we play Indy. I think we were 1-3 against them in the regular season. We didn't play them too many times, but we didn't have a ton of success. They have a really good penalty kill. We have a really good power play. So it comes down, are we going to have success on the special teams battle? That's probably who's going to win the series. Like I said, their penalty kill was first in the league. Our power play was first in the league. So first power play of the first game, we scored 20 seconds into it. So it's like, and it kind of from there, we didn't look back. I think we executed around 40% on the power play, which is extremely well, especially in a playoff series where it's hard to come by goals 5-on-5. So like I said, I was kind of like, where are we at as a group? We get to that first playoff round, and we kind of hit the ground running right away. Like the guys, I always say it, you can't flip a switch, but sometimes guys can find a way to flip a switch when the playoffs turn. So we ended up sweeping the first round, and really no game was even close. We kind of just ran with the ball the whole way from right opening puck drop. So I was like, all right, maybe there's something here. So we get into the Fort Wayne series, and I knew Fort Wayne had a really good, strong team on paper. They kind of play the game any way you want to play the game. If you want to play fast, they can play fast. If it's going to be high scoring, they can score. They have good goaltending where it's going to be a tight game. They can keep it a tight game. Game 1, we played okay. We had a week off, we had 10 days off in between week 1 and round 1 and round 2, which that's a long time off to keep them mentally engaged. Guys start golfing now. It's springtime. They've been cooped up. There's distractions around. So 10 days in between a round it's a long time. But game 1, we came out. We played a little like how we want to play, but we ended up winning 5-4. Game 2, game 3, it was like, all right, this is kind of what I kind of anticipated to happen. Like we play well, we take a step back. We play well, we take a step back. We had that step back, and it was basically a kick in the mouth. Like, all right, guys, it's getting hard here. Are we going to respond? Or are we going to are we going to dig ourselves out as a group here, or are we just going to pack it in? Because now with our series, we're down 2-1 in the series. We're going to Fort Wayne. Game 4 might have been our worst hockey game I've ever had to coach, from a perspective of we did nothing we wanted to do. We didn't have the puck. We looked slow. We looked flat. We couldn't make a 4-foot pass. They had the puck the entire game. They looked like they were the 97 Red Wings up and down the ice against us. So it was like, and it still was, you're looking at the clock, shots are 34-7, and we have no puck possession. We have nothing going. And all of a sudden, with about 40 seconds left, we get a little space up the ice. We're working up the ice. Guy drives it low, finds a D, jumping through the middle of the ice. We shoot a puck into a net. We're up 2-1. The shots are 43-8 now. And I look up. I knew it was little amount of time. I thought there's probably about 50 seconds left in the game. Like, they're going to score. I can feel it coming because we have accomplished 0 today. They're going to score. They're going to tie in the game. I look up. There's like 23 seconds. I'm like, all right, all we have to do is just get the puck deep one time. We're in a good spot. We end up winning the game. I was expecting like the Fort Wayne Police Department to be waiting in the parking lot for robbery. I was like, everyone take your ski mask off now. Like, we're done. We just stole that one. We robbed them. But that, I really believe, was our turning point as our group, because we played game 5, or maybe it was a game 6, and we played well. And we kind of never looked back from there. But that game, where we tied this, it was either going down 3-1 and good luck getting out of that one. But now we tied the series. We completely stole the momentum of the series. They were basically like, what the hell just happened here? We just dominated. We still couldn't win the game. So I think that was a huge turning point for our group. That Fort Wayne series, we went from here to here as a group. And it was like, okay, there's something, like, we just got kicked in the teeth where we responded, and we found a way to win when we shouldn't be able to win. And ultimately in the playoffs, you go through these long journeys and these long grinds. You need luck. You need your goalie to steal us a game like we had. You need health. You need the bounces. You need officiating luck as well, with penalties and special teams and things like that. You need all those things to come together to ultimately have an opportunity to win a championship. And we were starting to see, all right, we're getting those bounces. Like, if we start doing our part, we're getting the luck we need. We're getting those opportunities. We're getting that. Those bounces are going our way. If we can control our own destiny a little bit as well, we start playing a little better, we can do something. So fast forward, we win that series against Fort Wayne. I still don't know how we won the series, but we did. We go to Kansas City, who knocked us out the year before, and they really kind of took it to us 2 years ago in the playoffs. And I feel like our guys kind of tiptoed into that series. Like, they had a good regular season. They had a good reputation going in. Kansas City did, and our guys kind of like, are we better than this team? We'll see. And then our guys kind of tiptoed, and we got in a hole right away. We couldn't dig out of it. So our whole message to the group was like, don't dip our toe in the water here. Let's get it. Let's get after them. Let's not wait. And right from puck drop in that 3rd round series, it was like, we're ready to play. We played the game the way we wanted to play. And ultimately, the series was not a close series at all. We ran them out of the building just about every night we played. And now it's like, all right, we've checked a lot of boxes. We are playing as good as we can possibly play right now. We're going to play Trower every year. And going into the series, all you're thinking about is, let's get to that first game. Let's see what it feels like. Because once you get into those games, you see what it feels like. It's like, all right, here we are. Like, I guess it's kind of hard for me to put into words, but you want to feel it, you want to touch it. You haven't done it. So if you've never done something, you have a big exam coming up, you're just like, let's get to the exam. I want to see what the questions look like. I want to see where I'm at. So ultimately, that's where we were. But the message was the same, guys. Like, just go play our game. Don't worry about anything they do. Don't worry about anyone other than these guys in this room. So ultimately, there's 25 guys in the room. They control the outcome, not the fan base, not the media, in our opinion, not the other team. It's we control the outcomes and the destiny here. But it's hard to do at the same time because you're human. You think about things. So game 1, we go in, we win the special teams battle. We win the game. I think it was 3-2. We scored 2 power play goals. We were 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. But I honestly did not like our game. I thought we looked slow. We looked scared to lose at times. And it carried over into game 2. We weren't as aggressive. We weren't on top of them. We weren't making them make plays under pressure. We were just kind of keeping everything in front of us, not really fighting for the ice around us. Where it's just like, all right, I'll keep you in front of me. You can't beat me if you're in front of me. Well, now we're letting them play fast or letting them get their speed. So it was hard to get anything accomplished from that standpoint. So ultimately, game 2 we lose, game 3 we lose. But in game 3, we were down. Game 3, we were out shooting them 12-4. Well, we were down 2-0 right away. We had 2 bad mental mistakes. They got easy transition, easy offense. They scored on both of them. But then it kind of clicked for our guys, like, what are we scared of? Like, let's just go play. And we ultimately started playing the game the right way. We made it a lot harder. We had a lot of success. But at that point, it was too late in the series, and their goalie played extremely well. I think he had a horseshoe up his ass the whole time, but he played good. And but like it just goes to show you need all those bounces and that luck, but you have to start on time in those series. If you don't, it makes it extremely difficult to get out of those holes. Like ultimately in the game 5, the series ends that game. The shot attempts were 94-30 in our favor. And their goalie had 50 saves, and we lose 4-1 with 2 empty netters against. So it just goes to show you can be on a really good team. You can do everything kind of as much as you can the right way, but at the end of the day, to get there, you need a lot of bounces, a lot of luck, and ultimately the right group of guys that can get you there. Because, like I said, we've been to the conference finals 5 years, to the finals 3 years. All those teams are completely different, but they all found a way to put themselves in that situation. That's a testament to those guys in the room, ultimately loving each other and loving playing for the city. I know it's a lot there. I kind of got on a little bit of a tangent. I didn't expect it to go that long, but I just wanted to kind of walk you through our process of how we view things, how we kind of operate day to day, and ultimately what I think leads to our success is how we treat the players as people, and really want them to be the best versions of themselves and ultimately the best teammate they can be. Because once we get that group going as a team, that's when it's look out, Toledo's got another good team with a chance to win a championship. That's all I have for you today. Is there any questions or anything? Okay, clap off. Thank you.
We were just waiting for the microphone to come over. Sorry.
All right, you're good.
Thank you. So as a fellow Toledoan, you're a fellow Toledoan. Also, I think we might have gone to Northview at the same time, but we could talk about that later.
Go Wildcats.
Yeah, go Wildcats. As you've been a part of the team for the last 9 years, which also congratulations on that, because the grit that you must have to push through year over year, congratulations. I am curious about taking a group of 20 or so young gentlemen and trying to understand their culture, trying to understand how they push through mentally and support each other without letting their own mental health fall off to the side. So how do you help them create the longevity for the season for them to feel supported as individuals, but then for them also to create support for their team members?
I think it's, showing that they can trust you. Like, I put that picture of myself and my family up there because that's who I am before I'm a hockey coach. And it's getting them to realize that. Like, it's more of a new school coaching, I would say, method. It's not, I'm your coach, you do what I say. It's, I want to have conversation. I want to know what you think at the end of the day. But I also want to know what's going on in your life. And I think it's important that they understand that. I was talking about those one-on-one conversations be extremely difficult at times. But if you have that built-in relationship, it makes it a lot easier. And I think our players, we're very lucky. We look to recruit captains, and we do a ton of homework on character of players. There could be a really skilled player that I think can make us win more hockey games, but if he doesn't fit what we're looking for in terms of that type of teammate, type of person, it's not worth bringing him in because at the end of the day, it's ultimately not going to get us where we want to go. So we're fortunate enough to have those types of people in that room where they understand that. Ultimately, it's about just being a good person and being there for the person next to you at the end of the day. We have players that are really good at helping others that are, maybe they're not as far ahead at a mature level, whatever it may be. They kind of take them under their wing and help them, whereas a coaching staff, it makes our life a lot easier. Because once those guys start understanding that, the guys that are being pulled under the wings, now they might grab another guy and be like, I can help you do this too. Or So it all just kind of organically happens where the guys start building those relationships and care for each other. And, in these settings where you're on that team, you might only be with that person for 8 months out of your entire life. But they become one of your best friends, but you're there each other every day, but you might only play 1 year together. So it's a unique thing where, you want those guys to be there for each other as much as possible at the end of the day. So I hope I answered your question, but.
Well, and that means that you and your staff are doing a really good job if you are trying to understand the individuals not only as a player but as a person. So great job to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Hi, Brent.
Hi.
I'm Maria White. I sit in the first row in section 119,
Okay.
right across from the bench
Okay.
from you with the big cowbell that's
Okay.
always screaming at the
Yeah.
refs. That's
There
me.
you go. Let them know. Let the refs
Yeah,
know.
and so for 13 years, we've been huge Walleye fans. And so I'm probably going to ask you the question that you get asked a million times. It's two-parter. First
Okay.
is, what is it going to take for us to finish it? And two, do you think the size of our team has anything to do with this? Because it seems always like we're the littlest guys on the ice. Always, it seems. Maybe I'm wrong.
All right. Thank you for the support. Good questions. I think it's extremely hard to win championship.
Yeah.
Like, it's extremely hard. I've said it multiple times here today, but you need a lot of luck.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, all you can do is give yourself a chance to be there. I think we've done that. I think it's been special. I think, I'm grateful for what we've accomplished as a team, but honestly, I'm not satisfied as well. So it's just giving ourselves a chance to get there over and over, and it's gonna come. Like, it'll come.
Please do it before I die.
Okay. All right. Yeah. We're working on it.
Thanks. And then the size thing?
Yeah, I think
Is
the
that
size thing, it's something we always talk about, especially on the back end with the D. But ultimately, we want to have players that can play the game we want to play. If they're 6'3", absolutely. But I don't think it limits us from getting to where we want to get to at all. Like, is it something we talk about all the time? Absolutely. But it's not the be all end all to where we want to get to, and ultimately the success we have is not going to be driven off of how big we are. But it is something we definitely look at for sure.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you being here.
Yep.
Couple of things. First, as an upcoming as a father of an upcoming Wildcat hockey player, help us beat St. Francis.
Okay. All right.
Come on, help us get there.
Yeah. Take out the Frannies. I agree.
Help us get there. Beat St. Francis.
When I was there, we owned the Frannies, so we were in a good spot.
All right, help us get back.
Yeah.
Secondarily, as a farm club who has to deal with players getting pulled up either to the Griffins or maybe the Red Wings at some point, how do you deal with that break in culture that you were talking about and team cohesion when that happens?
Yeah, it happens often. We'll probably have 50 different skaters a year. But it goes back to our core group of guys who understand what it is. And ultimately, we want those players to get called up. We want them to go because it means we're doing our job and they're doing theirs. So we celebrate those situations, but it's ultimately, again, just how we treat everyone. They walk in that door. We have had guys come from other organizations where they're like, it's just different here. Like, I feel like I'm treated as a human versus a robot hockey player that, just show up and here's your paycheck and you better play well. So it's just, again, treating people like humans and having those relationships with them, and ultimately knowing that, gaining their trust and their support, and that you're going to support them. If they do well, our team's going to do well. So that's kind of how we look at it.
What kind of heads up do you get as a coaching staff that that's going to happen?
It can change time from time. It might be, hey, we're going to be calling up so-and-so after the weekend, or it might be 4 p.m. before the game, and hey, we're calling up so-and-so, and he's not playing for you tonight. He's got to drive to Cleveland or Grand Rapids or wherever it may be tonight because we need him to play tomorrow afternoon. So now we're telling a guy who wasn't playing in the lineup, hey, so-and-so is going up, you're playing tonight. Hopefully you run at the golf course. So it just varies. Obviously the more time you have, it makes it easier, but it's really, especially on the road, it can be challenging on the road when we're on a long road trip, someone gets called up like that.
Hi, my name is Shannon Laura. I'm from Huntington. So since 2011, I've had a special experience with this team. With our name on the building, I've got to see our fans behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, and everything. And we really have a really strong and super fan base. I'm going to say I was at Game 5 in Canada. I got to watch the team. I was one of 10 people in that city with the Walleye jersey on. So I wondered if you could articulate to this group just how cool and super our fans are for the Walleye, and just speak to that. After witnessing the fans in Canada and coming back here, it really drove home how special we are here in Toledo.
Well, thank you for being there in Canada. I would have saw you then, because my routine every time during the anthems is to count the Walleye jerseys on the road. So I would have saw you. Yeah, it's extremely passionate. I think it's extremely, what's the word I'm looking for here? Intimate relationship with the city and the hockey team. You know, we go on the road and we see some of these other fan bases where maybe the building's empty, whatever it is, but even if the building's full, it's not the environment that's here. Like I said, that is my routine on the road, to count those Walleye jerseys, look around the rink and count them. So we see you guys, we hear you guys. So it is special, and I think it spreads through the league too. It makes it a huge part of our recruiting process. Is the players already know what it looks like and feels like in that building, and what they're going to be treated like by the fan base. So it's unique, and ultimately without that, our lives are going to be harder as coaches. But the fan base is the whole reason we're here, and why we're so successful as a group. So you can't say enough things about how special and how important they are.
So Shannon took a little bit of what I was going to say about our fan base, because I think I'm from a bigger city, originally Chicago, so sorry, go Hawks. But anyways, I have noticed like how exciting the city gets around walleye season and how impactful it is on our city and all of that. What I wanted to say though is, since you have this great room of people, can you give us something new and exciting that might be happening this year that you can like tip off to us that we'll promise to leave in this room? Because I think the media's gone. But is there anything you can share with us that might be new and exciting to, that we were exclusive to?
Honestly, I really don't have anything off the top of my head. It is going to be here soon. We're going to be going here in about 6 weeks. It'll be a new team for us this year. We're going to have some more young players than we typically have, just the way the roster's shaking out through the summer here. But we're excited to get going. But I don't have anything that's going to wow you at this point, other than we're going to play a hockey game in October.
So you had mentioned that you use different data to structure practices to understand the physical amount that people have left and endurance and things like that. So moving from the physical part of it to maybe more the behavioral analysis, how do you use behavioral analytics in picking a team or putting lines together?
Mm-hmm.
And you talked a couple times about one-on-ones, and I think a number of us we've led people over the years. What does that one-on-one look like?
Yeah, so I think he spoke here maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, Bob Orchard at Intuit, or what? Integrate, yes. So we do utilize his company. We have those players take those personality tests in the summer, just to kind of get a feel of how they operate and how they tick. And I think it's been helpful for us knowing how we need to communicate with those players. So that's one tool we utilize from the analytics standpoint. I don't think we necessarily use it to build a line, or here's who our lineup's going to be, and here's who needs to play with who. But I think we can use it to guide conversation, whether it's in the locker room or outside the locker room, for those players with a certain type of player. Like, if we're not getting through to Tom, well, I know Joe has this type of personality, and it's worked with him before. He's been good with similar personalities to Tom's. So we'll bring in Joe and be like, hey, let's go talk to Tom. Like, maybe you help him, try to guide him under your wing. Like, you've been in situations with like this before. So that's one way we use it. But on the analytical side, we get like just basically how tired the players are. We can gather from that information, so it helps us design practice, and ultimately how hard we need to push them in that practice. Like if we know, like I said, if we know we have a lighter weekend, that those practices are gonna be a little harder than they want them to be. But it's all about keeping that gauge and keeping that barometer. So once we go to we're playing hockey in June, the guys aren't tired. They're ready for it. They're built for it. So that's kind of how we use that. And then there's another analytical company we use out of Russia that can break down the game from an analytical standpoint that we kind of lean on a little bit in terms of how we prep for games. So there's multiple facets we use every day just to make sure we're doing things correctly.
A lot more science to it than maybe you would know.
Yeah,
As
there's a
fan.
lot to it
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Brent, thanks for your time today. We really appreciate you coming to speak to us, and an appreciation for that, we'd like to give you a copy of this book, Historical Tales of Toledo. It's written by our past president, Clint Mock. Also, we will make a donation in your name to the Polio Plus Foundation to eradicate polio from the planet, which is one of Rotary International's primary goals. So thank you again for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Actually, I think I have to say this. I think that's the one time I've seen Father O possibly get up and fight. So, Kurt, I would watch your back on the way out. I'm just warning you. I'm just warning you. All right, we'll be back in the Glass City Center next week when we are joined by the District Governor, Pam Brumbaugh. We also have Litter League happening on that same evening from 4:30 to 6:30. So that's August 25th. And if you haven't signed up already, please do so. I think we're going to have a slide on that too, maybe a QR code. Yeah, and a QR code too. Great. Litter League. So that's going to be a fantastic event. There are 4 committee meetings today. So we have a lot of things happening in the room today after the meeting. So if you wouldn't mind, if you're going to talk a little bit more, have a little bit of more time to chat with each other, move it into the lobby. That'd be great so the committees can start to focus on their work. So let's do, the foundation trustees are going to meet. Let's do the foundation trustees in the back corner table over there. Then the program committee is going to meet. If we could do the program committee right here in this table, so they're a little farther away. Finance committee will be in the back table over there, so that'll be finance committee. And then the peace committee is going to meet right over here, that corner right there. Sound good? So hope everybody has an opportunity to attend one of those meetings if you want. And otherwise, thank you for your time today. Please go out and unite some folks for good. Thank you.